the Europeans arrived in Africa, they destroyed our cultures, they looted our artifacts, and now Europeans are complaining that Africans are coming to Europe for economic reasons. Why else? To polish our artifacts.
Yesterday was a big day for many in the country. Some of their long-lost treasures came home. 32 artifacts are back in Ghana, gold relics that once belonged to royalty. They're considered crown jewels. Most were looted about 150 years ago by British colonizers. 2 museums in the UK have had them for years. No surprise that one of them was a British museum. So for 150 years, the people of Ghana could not see their own heritage. Their crown jewels were held in London. It's something Indians understand all too well. Ghana is lucky though. Its artifacts are finally back home. But there's a catch. This is a loan. The museums are not permanently returning the treasures. They only send them to Ghana for 3 years. Here's a report.
We are displaying this for you to see that the items that were stolen, looted in 1874, not all of them has returned, but that what we have here still embodies the soul of Ashanti. And I believe within the period that they are being displayed here, you will make an effort, everybody, to come in and visit to see it yourselves.
That was the traditional king of the Ashanti people. His ancestors once ruled over most of Ghana. A majority of Ghana's people hail from his community. He is a ceremonial figurehead, and he has done Ghana a great service. He struck a deal with 2 museums in the UK and brought home some of his community's ancient treasures. What you're seeing are the Ashanti crown jewels. It includes the sword of the state, gold badges, royal rings and neck pieces. These items once belonged to the Ashanti king's family and retainers. Now they are back in Ghana.
These treasures, once looted by British forces in 1874, have rightfully found their way back to the Mansion Palace Museum through a collaborative effort between our institutions.
They are at a museum in the king's hometown, at the Manyia Palace Museum in the city of Kumasi. It is open to the people of Ghana. Now they can take a trip by road or rail to see their heritage, instead of having to travel overseas to their old colonizers' nation. The British looted most of these artifacts in 1874 during the Third Anglo-Ashanti War. British troops razed the Ashanti Royal Palace and looted priceless artifacts during its destruction. They took these treasures back to the UK, and eventually they found their way to museums. The museums have refused to return any of the loot though. Places like the British Museum stubbornly hold on to all their stolen artifacts. Let's face it, if they didn't, the museum would be an empty husk, much like what the British Empire is today. So normally museums in the UK refuse to give back any artifacts, but this time they made an exception.
We at the British Museum are wholly committed to continuing this relationship, building on this loan in a manner based on friendship, trust, mutual respect and a willingness to discuss.
They agreed to loan the golden treasures to the Ashanti monarch, not to Ghana, just to the monarch. The king of the Ashanti people celebrates 25 years on the throne this year. The artifact loan is part of that celebration. The artifacts will be in Ghana for 3 years, but after that, Britain might want them back. The people of Ghana should go and see these treasures while they can. Who knows if the British will ever do the right thing again. But if this is a change of heart, a real wish to make amends, then other countries should take note. Benin is missing some bronzes, Greece is missing some marbles, and India, well, we would like our Kohinoor back. That is another crown jewel that should make its way.
Welcome back, a family from Africa and across the world. You know, sometimes I come to here, whenever I come here to present, I feel like I'm just so happy because of all that I'm listening from different people from across the world and how they're responding to Africans, mostly for the Africans who are asking for reparation for all that the Westerners did to their lives during since the time of slavery until this time. Now, I just presented you a clip of the Europeans and as how they have been answering those questions on that interview, and they come out clearly and say that they never looted, they never stole from Africa, they never stole African artifacts, they never stole anything from Africa, but they looted. So there is a difference between looting and stealing. Looting is a way whereby you can pass by a place and you find that maybe people are in a quarrel and you pass by some things. That's looting. But so the Westerners today, they claim that they looted Africa, but they never stole Africa. And some of them even claim that African leaders are the one who sold them these artifacts and everything that they have been coming to take from Africa, because they could have never come to Africa without the African leaders' access. So, and when you ask them about the reparation, they claim that all that was in past, so we don't have to speak about it. So today, up to this time, through slavery, through colonization, the whites today are still benefiting from it. Today they are existing from that incidents. Today the Westerners or these great empires are existing because of slavery, because the whites the blacks who are enslaved are the one who build up these great empires. They're the one who build this great Great Britain, America, Europe, entire Europe. They're the one who went to fight with the Germans to free France and other countries from Europe. So whenever they come out to say that all that we are talking about is in past, so we don't have to consider or speak about it. This is something that I think we as the black people or African, we have to speak about this, because now it has come to the point. We know the fact. We can't deny the fact that Africa was colonized. Yeah, it was enslaved. And there are some countries too which were colonized, but they have developed. Okay, they have developed. Today, a country like China, Russia, and other India, they were all colonized. And there was a time that economy were very weak than other countries, or most countries from Africa. But today, when you take a look at this great country, they are doing good. They are well packaged. They are well developed. They are the one today who are funding some of the African countries for their development and their infrastructures. So we can't deny the fact that the Europeans colonized Africa, but we can still move on. But again, the problems comes here. We can no longer move on when these people are still coming to Africa. They're not just coming to visit. They're not just coming for vacation, but they're coming to still continue taking from Africa. So this is the problem, because if they would have not been coming to Africa to this day, maybe we would have not been speaking about this, because Africa would have been already developed. We could have been in a certain place that maybe we feel like we're okay and we can again build and awake ourselves.
It is known that Africa only had black people. Europe had white people. Asia had yellow people. Now, it is absurd to say that we Africans were not in Africa when white people first came. And secondly, the conqueror writes history. They came, they thought that, and then now you don't expect people invaders to write the truth about us. They will always write negative things about us. And they have to do that because they have to justify their invasion in all the countries. It's like saying when the Europeans went to America, there were no Indians there. It's ridiculous because they were there.
From all the damages that was created. But now, how can we do this when the Westerners or the Europe is still dictating to Africa? Today they come to tell Africans not to trade or buy some things from China and Russia. Today they come to tell Africa not to accept the influence of the East, but we only have to focus from the West. So it's like we are still under colonization. They threaten African countries, most of the African countries, if we continue associating with Russia and China, they are going to sanction us. America today is threatening Africa about the sanctions. So sometimes I wonder, what's sanction? Because today we are the one to talk about sanction. Africa is the one today to speak about the sanction. We are the one today to sanction America and Europe, because If we today say that we are sanctioning America, it means that they cannot get access to Africa. And if it happens, then we are just talking about collapsing, but they will be erased from the map because they can't survive without African resources. They can't survive, they can't come up with all that they are coming to build or manufacture, because all that they are having today, all that they have for it to exist, they must come to Africa and take the resources here. So South Africa was sanctioned many years ago, but how today is South Africa? Because in Africa, South Africa is the most developed country. The fastest growth country in Africa is South Africa, yet it has been sanctioned for so long. Today, America and South Africa are still fighting. They're still in quarrel. Why? Because South Africa today has focused to build that relationship with the countries from BRICS, like Russia, China, and India. And that is the problem, because America feels like if they allow South Africa to move out away from them, then they are going to lose a lot. As you know, South Africa is being controlled by majority of the white people. South Africa is in Africa, yes, but everything in the economy of South Africa is still being run by the West, by the white people. So Donald Trump is still benefiting a lot in the entire country of America. They're still benefiting a lot from the country of South Africa. So they can't allow this to happen. That's why you see Trump is still fighting today with Julius Malema, because Julius Malema is the only leader today who is still fighting against America and Donald Trump, because he knows the truth. He knows why they're forcing issues. He knows why they're so interested in this country. The country of Zimbabwe was sanctioned for 20 years. Today, Zimbabwe is one of the greatest country or a developed country in Africa, yet they have been sanctioned for so long, over 20 years. So it means that we are the one to sanction them, but not the other way around. So if they come, they have the gut to come and tell Africa's country that if you do this with other people, then we are going to sanction you. In fact, we need that sanction and see if we will survive or we will die. Because at this time, Africa is not at that point of begging. Africa is not at that point of need help. We are the one to help them. Let me give you an example. Today, we've seen just a few days in Burkina Faso whereby the African Americans were brought, over 1,000 people, African Americans were brought to Africa in Burkina Faso, and they were given opportunities. And they celebrated because they felt like this is another opportunity to life. This is another progress to them. And this was programmed by Dr. Rikana, who contributed all this enforcement. And these people were guaranteed the free visa and Burkina Faso identity, free identity. This was a progress. You know why? Because today in Africa, I know that Burkina Faso is one of the countries which is growing very fast and which needs a strategy and manpower. Because in this country today, a lot of things is happening. When you go when in Africa today you come, Burkina Faso is one of the countries today that's leading in factories and companies. Today, Burkina Faso is having their own motor farms whereby they are creating their own electric vehicle. Today, Burkina Faso is one of the countries that is doing a lot of farming, tomato farming, and today they are the one. They are the one producing this tomato, coming up with this tomato paste, and they are selling out to the world as a finished product, not as export. So this is an achievement. That's why you see, when we see this African American relocating back to Africa, these are progress. These are progress and achievement that we as the black people have to celebrate, because we are uniting some ideas and different ideologies. We are gathering this knowledge so that we can come up with the great things, because Africa was meant to be great. So these people, by saying that they never stole Africa, but they looted, this is a shameful statement, because today when you go in Europe, they're having great museums, the largest museum, which is making a lot of money, which is building the economy, stabilizing the economy. And these artifacts that they are showing out to the world, they all came from Africa. They came from Congo, from Zimbabwe, from Kenya, from Congo, from South Africa. All these great artifacts that they are showing to the world, they got from Africa. We've seen just the other day, Emmanuel Macron, the president of France, bringing back the skull of a Madagascar president after the country of Madagascar was erupted in the country. The youths came to protest and burnt up the country, making the president to flee the country. Now, all that they are coming to do. We have seen many white people, the Americans, the Europeans, coming out to admit their truth, speaking, maybe some of them asking for forgiveness. Their president bringing back some Africans things. It is not because they need to do so. It is not because they feel guilty of all that they have been doing to Africans or the black people, but it's because of all that's happened today. It is because of the hard situation and the harsh situation that is hitting them so much, because this is a way of them, they're trying to look on, to find another way on how they can come back to Africa, because today they're suffering, they are struggling, they're collapsing. So for them to revive the economy and stand up again, they must come to Africa to make a relationship so that they can get the resources to go and rebuild their economy, rebuild up their countries. But this is another generation. This is a new era of Africa. I don't think if there will be another time for this, because at this time, Africans youth are awake. We are against every puppet leader. We are against any submissive leader to the foreigners, because at this time we are fighting on how to put African continent on the African continent governance under the youths, because today the majority of African population is being led by youths. So we can no longer continue to give opportunities and chance to all these older people who are not who don't have any interest to African continent or their people. This is a time when you see the people or the young military are taking over their countries. It is because there is no otherwise, no other option. When you see Africans hyping their names, celebrating them, it is because we have seen that this is the way. Because we've tried to cooperate with all these bodies like UN, all these democracy issues, things. But it has proved to us that they are not better for us. That's why we are here to fight. We are here to reclaim. We are here to restore the dignity, the independence, the freedom, and the greatness of African continent. So all that they're coming to say that they never looted, we need everything that was stolen from Africa to be returned, to be restored. This is a dream of every African youth. So today, they have to say whatever they say, but the fact remains that everything that was stolen from Africa, the African motherland is here, and she's reclaiming his richness, which is being possessed by other people, making a lot of money, building up their economies, making the brighter life for their generation, while the generation of Africa is suffering. The kids from Africa are dying due to hunger, due to lack of medical services, due to poor roads, due to poor infrastructures, while other people are taking African richness to go and build their own, thinking of their own generation, their coming generation. So all that has been done to Africa, this is an end, and we have to stand up. This will not be done only by Ibrahim Traore, by Thomas, by Pierre Lumumba, by Julius Malema, and all other great people who are standing for the truth. But this will have to be done by me and everyone who is aware and he's following up. He knows the truth. He knows the history of Africa, and we know that we need the best for our own continent. We don't have, as a black man, whether you live in Africa or in diaspora, in Caribbean, you will never have a place where you'll receive a warm welcome than Africa. This is our home, and we have to fight for it. All that we are doing today, there are some people who started to advocate for this. There are some people who paid their own life fighting for our own future. So this is not the time of playing around the bush, entertaining the people who don't have interest to build this continent. This great continent is greater than anyone else. So this is our responsibility to make that all that was created, all the errors, all the damages that were created, we have to correct it. So I will not take much of a time. Kindly, if you're new here, just leave a comment, subscribe, share, join my membership. Send me a super thank. I will appreciate it because you are doing great. And from this, I am going to do my best to make sure that I deliver the best you need, because I'm here to do this. And whenever you come to appreciate and you support, I feel like I'm doing something that you need or you deserve. And I'll make sure that I respond to every question that pops in my comment section, because we have to share, we have to communicate, we have to share our ideas, put out your views so that you can know all that we have that need to be done so that to make African continent stronger, as was intended by our ancestors who died with the much pain from all that they passed through during the time of slavery. Until next time, we come do the same. Thank you very much for being here each and every time. I appreciate your support because you are doing great. Until next time, we come do the same. Thank you and be blessed reaching from.